You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Wood.
And I'm Jennifer Connor.
From Equestrian Businesswomen, and you're listening to Equestrian B2B, the podcast that brings together industry leaders, entrepreneurs, and equestrians for conversations about how they build and sustain a successful business.
On today's show, we speak with Linda Davey about how she started her business, Ride Every Stride, how it has evolved into a full-time business, and what her plans are for the future.
Linda Davey was born and raised in Canada. While she started her career in corporate accounting for taxes and auditing and has her CPA, GCA, and HBCom, she began a side hustle after a fateful trail ride with her husband. Linda always had a love for horses and desperately wanted to ride. She met her husband in her 30s, and after that trail ride, they started lessons and ended up with 4 horses and purchasing their own farm.
Linda's side hustle business, Ride Every Stride, developed from that love of horses and grew from there. Linda eventually made the decision to move to running her business full-time, which has now expanded into the United States after 10 years. While not in the saddle anymore, Linda enjoys horses through her business and her clients. Hi, Linda. It's so great to have you on the podcast today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited too, because I absolutely live and breathe Ride Every Stride. You're one of my favorite companies and brands, and I've known about you for a while. My best friend is Canadian, and she kind of brought it to my attention, and so that's where we get all of our custom stuff. So I'm excited to hear more about the business and how it all started and kind of dive into it.
Well, we love to hear that.
And you've been such a big supporter of equestrian businesswomen, and your bags are fabulous for our networking events. So we really appreciate that as well.
Definitely.
We've definitely loved working with you guys as well.
So let's go ahead and get started. And can you just kind of tell me how you got this business started and a little bit more about it?
That's a funny story. I'm your typical corporate person. I never, ever dreamed of being an entrepreneur. I started in the corporate world. I did my accounting designation, my CPA. So I worked for a few of the big CA firms. And, I always thought I would climb the corporate ladder and become a partner of a firm and travel the world. And ironically, I got into horses a little bit late in life. My husband and I went to a birthday party and went on a trail ride and we decided we wanted to take lessons. So that was kind of our introduction to the horse world. And probably in my 30s, someone had approached me and suggested a tack store. And I was like, hey, why not? Side hustle. We all kind of love doing these side hustle things. So I kind of gave it a go, and that's how Ride Every Stride kind of came to be. We started out, it was a little bit more tack based, and I guess I kind of listened to what the customers wanted. And it seemed to be that there was a void in the market of a place where people could go and get all their branded products. They were going to one place for embroidery, another place, to get some apparel, another place to buy their horse blankets. It seemed like there was that void for that one-stop shop. So hence there came my first embroidery machine.
Oh boy. So you did it yourself.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do it myself because I had no idea, but it was a big capital investment to start off as, kind of having a side hustle. So I guess I had to learn very quickly. I had to find someone that could come in and do the embroidery and help us out. And it kind of grew from there. I really listened to what the customers were looking for. And then it went from embroidery to engraving and, people wanted signs and everything like that. So that's kind of how we developed. There was that need in the market. And, I think when opportunity knocks, either you open or you don't. So definitely that's kind of how we developed.
Did you have a business plan going into it, or you just kind of
No,
solid.
I'm not that typical. It didn't turn out like that typical, when people say you want to start a business, sit down and write a business plan. I did come from a financial background with my CPA. So I had an idea, but I kind of just went with it. Since it was a little bit more of a side hustle, I just kind of went with the flow. And kind of learned as I grew and as I went with the business, because there were so many different aspects to it. Not that I totally recommend that to anyone else starting a business. They always say a business plan's a good idea, but it just didn't really fit into how quickly we grew.
Were you always a digital storefront?
Yes.
Okay.
Which was a little bit, we've been in business 10 years now. When we first started, it was kind of a faux pas not to have, a storefront, a brick and mortar. That was when e-commerce was still kind of coming out. And that's why, like, even with the TAC part of it, a lot of businesses didn't want to, quote, sell to us because we weren't brick and mortar. And I was like, no, I want to keep this e-commerce based with my financial background. Like, we all know inventory is one of your biggest expenses, especially once we got into like manufacturing, keeping, the items that we need to manufacture things, like that was already a big enough expense for us. So I wanted to kind of keep like the apparel and things that we could order in. I wanted to kind of do that just-in-time inventory system where I didn't have to lay out big expenses for inventory.
Right.
So do you have a big warehouse then?
We have 2 locations, one where we manufacture. I wouldn't say it's a huge warehouse. We will eventually grow to amalgamating everything together. But our second location is where we have all our machinery. So we have kind of a large facility. We've got a ton of embroidery and engraving machines. So they're separate right now, but eventually we'd like to kind of combine everything.
Wow. That's a lot. Like,
That's what I was just thinking.
like I'm like, wait a minute, what do I even want to ask? Because like that's I wasn't expecting that. So for your manufacturing, like did you actually buy a manufacturing plant? You started it? Like, what does that look like?
No, it's more, so we make the blankets, we make the stable accessories, and like your trunk covers, your bandage loops. So we basically have a facility where we have, the wool for the coolers, the sunbrella material for the bandage loops. We've got as a team that we have our patterns, we cut our patterns. So that's where we do our sewing. And then, yes, we have like the large scale industrial embroidery machines, and engraving machines.
And the manufacturing side, though, you started that? Like you own that? That's part of your business?
Yes, it is.
I didn't realize that. I thought you bought like generic products and provided like the customization for people.
No, our business is a little bit more complex than that. Not
that's cool.
Or anything. Like I said, we kind of went with it. No, we can fully customize anything. So if someone comes in and I want black trunk cover with pink piping and purple trim, and that's what we make for them. And that's a big part of it is having that ability to customize.
Right. Wow.
It's actually quite mind-blowing, because I envisioned maybe you had the materials and your patterns and you sent them off to somebody who would make it, or, like Jen said, pre-made things that you would just embroider. But to have that whole manufacturing facility, like, was that an initial thought? Like, did you do that initially, or how'd you get there?
No, that's what I mean. We kind of went with what our customers wanted. So
it evolved.
Yeah, because we don't do everything in-house. Like, we do bring in apparel. We do source out if we need screen printing done or our signs made, like our farm signs. So it's finding a balance. There's certain things that we wanted to do in-house, because once you start outsourcing, you lose that ability for quality control.
Right.
And that's a big thing, especially when you're branding things for your clients. Like that's their brand, they're trusting you with their business. So we wanted to make sure that we did have that quality control. Obviously with vendors, we do select certain vendors that are, have the same kind of, vision that we do with their products and everything is still looked at before it goes out to the end customer. So we tried to balance out what we can do in-house, what we can't. We have kept things to almost like an essential collection that we do in-house, because I always have people going, hey, can you make this? Hey, can you make that? But it's just, manufacturing is very complex, that I just kind of went, okay, this is all I want to do.
Yeah.
There is a limit. And then you get into, if you're purchasing stuff cross border and you're bringing it in, like there's not just the manufacturing, there's the logistics side of things as well. Manufacturing in North America, keeping things, cost effective for the end consumer is always on our mind as well.
Right. Because, once you get into making and manufacturing quality products like that, then you're looking at employees that are highly skilled. And then for that, you're looking at, fairly big paychecks and having to, pay for those skills, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it is, making the products as well as doing, the decorating. It is a trade, and it's not something typical. It's
right.
When you put out like a job ad, there's not too many people that are embroiderers or, seamstress or, it's especially for horse equestrian stuff. So it is a little bit of a process. We, like, for us with our embroiderers, like, I was lucky in the beginning that we found someone that was experienced and could kind of help us grow. We also offer training to people, so that if that's something that they want to get into, it's an investment to train someone. So that's something that we always offer. And if we've finding the right people is in any aspect of any business, whatever you do.
Right. So do you think, we've talked to somebody in the past who has a similar program, and she said the most important thing she looks for in an employee is attitude and the will to work, and not necessarily the skills. She feels like she can teach the skills if she has the right type of person who fits into her team and has the right attitude.
Absolutely. I would say for most things, you do need to find, like, for our products, I find attention to detail is key. Yeah. And that isn't something that's always trainable. You just you need that right person, that right personality as well. Right.
And so what was the core products that you started with?
We started with like your wool cooler, your scrim, your rain sheet. Then we branched out to quarter sheets. Then it was like your bandage loops, your like kind of your essentials for your stable setup, your curtains, your bandage loops, your trunk cover. And then we kind of grew from there. We don't have, like I said, we try to streamline our products so we don't have too many, but that's kind of where we started with.
And was there a point where you were like, oh, wow, this is not a side hustle anymore?
Yes, absolutely.
When did it click for you?
I've really, like I said, I follow a lot of people in the financial industry, and you always hear that saying, a side hustle is great, but eventually there's a time where you have to decide. I think when we bought our third or fourth embroidery machine, I was, hey, this is, this is a pretty big investment. I said to my husband, I'm like, I think I need to, it's taking too much of my time. And if we want to do this, like, I need to be able to dedicate the time to do it properly. And I think at that point you're in so deep with the capital investment. It's kind of like you really have no choice. You just have to put in that time.
Right. And do you think your growth has exceeded your expectations?
I think so. Because, like I said, when I first started, it was just kind of a little thing where, maybe we'll sell some tack to, now we've got different locations. We're in 2 different countries. So absolutely. I don't think I really had any expectations in the beginning. Like I said, with the side hustle, you think, oh, this is just something fun. I like horses. Why not? And then it just kind of grew from there. Even now, every day, like, I feel blessed with, I love the business. I love what I do. I love the people we meet. I feel really blessed with the opportunity. I get to go to all different shows. I get to travel. So yeah, I think it's definitely exceeded my expectations. 10 years. I think if someone said 10 years ago, I would be here today, even having this conversation with the both of you, I would have went, yeah, no. So it's been a great journey.
Yeah.
And we talked about the skills of workers, but like, when did you scale up your workforce?
Pretty much right from the beginning. Like I said, once we purchased the machinery, I had to have people that could help run it. When we decided to manufacture, I had to have people that could be able to do it. So it pretty much started right from the beginning. And then e-commerce, I was an accountant, I knew nothing about websites. I knew nothing, social media. That was a whole other realm. Like, I was barely on Facebook myself, let alone figuring out all these different platforms. So, it's always a scary thing as an entrepreneur. You're on a budget when you're growing a business, but there's a certain point where you have to realize you can't do it on your own, and you need to bring in these people to help you grow that business.
What was the first position you hired for?
Embroidery. Yeah.
And how many employees do you have now?
We're at 12, full-time and part-time. Because there's so many different aspects to the business, obviously, our embroiderer, engravers, manufacturing, that's more of a full-time position. We have a graphic designer on our team. We have some sales staff that do part-time. I find my big thing is I want people to enjoy what they're doing. So, if someone just says, I want to have the same thing, I want to have a side hustle, I'd love to help you with sales. It's just finding that right person to bring on. Like I said, I followed a lot of people with financial backgrounds. And I remember one person saying the most important things in a business are people, products, and processes. So finding the people is really important.
Right. And what does your day-to-day look like now? And from, and how has it changed from when you were working in corporate full-time?
Corporate, I was it was financial based. So I would do auditing, I would do taxes. I did do a lot of different companies. So I was able to, one day we would audit a car dealer, the next day we would audit. It allowed a bit diversity that way. For me in this business, I never know what each day is going to bring, which I love. That's my personality. I like to be doing different things. You can always plan and go, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do this. And you get a call and someone, from a horse show, hey, we need prizes. We need you to source this, or, there's a problem. Your wool is stuck at the border.
Yeah.
So there's always different things, which is an exciting part of the business. So I've learned to just really go with the flow. It's long days. I mean, as entrepreneur, basically I work 7 days a week.
Right.
There is no stop on that. But I love what I'm doing, so I think that makes it worthwhile.
What's some of the biggest challenges that you face with your business?
I think for me, delegation. My personality is, I want to know what's going on. And like I said, when you really need to focus on bringing in good people, finding their strengths and letting them work on those strengths. So I think just being able to, let people do their job, and me step back and focus on different areas of the business. I had someone say to me, the best thing is to work on your business, not in your business.
Yes, that's very difficult. And I have the exact same problem in mine, mainly because I started out as a one woman show. I did do all the work in my business and then eventually had to grow enough in order to hire people. But yes, I totally feel you there. Delegation is very difficult.
It's like it's your baby too. Like, I mean, I think this started from like nothing and, grew from there. So it's like you're always protective of your child.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to trust that people care about it as much as you do.
Yeah. I mean, even just being in a management position, not that I owned the farm or anything, but I've talked about how I've gotten burnt out really badly when I worked at the breeding farm. And it's because I was really bad at delegating because I had people that I had to respond to and talk to and let them know like if something bad happened and so if I wasn't there to see it when a mare foaled out, if it went bad, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, then I couldn't feel confident about what I was telling them, how it went. So I ended up taking way too much for myself. And I think a lot of people, even if you really care about your job or you care about animals or your business, that you just feel that responsibility to it. It's hard.
It is hard. It's very difficult. And finding a balance too is very difficult.
We talked a lot about that as well.
Yeah. I even find it with my husband. I mean, he's a hay broker and the phone rings 9:00 at night. He's on it, same kind of issues, truck stuck at the border, something didn't load properly on time, whatever. And I mean, I know he cares because he answers the phone. He's on it all the time for those kind of things.
Yeah.
And it's hard with technology too, now that, it's so easy for people to reach us at all hours.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. You can't just have like the phone on at the manufacturing facility is only on till 5 p.m. And then, it's a tomorrow problem, but it's not like that. They're like, oh, I got a cell phone number and I'm calling you.
Right.
Yeah. I find for me, like I work in the business kind of all hours, but I'm also very protective of our team. I always say to them, you're Monday to Friday, if there's anything else, I'll deal with it. I want you to make sure that you take your time because I know how important it is. And I know it's my business, so it's kind of my responsibility. But yeah, I'm definitely very protective of their time and making sure that they get the rest that they need.
Right.
I think that's funny because I was always the same way with the people that I was managing. I would rather be the one that had to do all the work than put it back on them because I always felt like I was being taken advantage of as an employee. So I wanted to like give back to my employees and not be the person who like
did that to them.
Yeah, did that to them. But in the long run, it ended up making me completely burnt out.
It backfired.
Yeah. I'm like, I can clean stalls too. And I'm like, why am I cleaning stalls?
Yeah, this is not part of your
I've got to
description.
Do billing and marketing and breeding mares and foaling them out. Like, why am I cleaning stalls?
Exactly. So we've talked about, your approach to employees. What do you consider your approach to customer service?
Customer service is huge for our business. Like I said, I believe in having quality products and providing that customer experience. At the end of the day, I think people aren't buying food and necessities in life. It's kind of luxury products. So it's imperative for us that we provide that customer service as well as providing the products.
Do you have a lot of repeat customers?
Absolutely. We've had customers right from the beginning, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. And how do you negotiate challenging situations? Like if something comes out wrong or people don't like, what's been made, is there, you said before, like one of the things that's really important is processes. Like, have you made up processes for dealing with customer complaints or issues?
I don't think necessarily a process for that. Stuff happens, mistakes are made. People are human and it's people making the products, decorating the products. I think at the end of the day, just communication's key. So if something happens and someone's not happy with something, I'd rather them call and just chat about it instead of, stewing about it. It's important for us to listen to what the customer is saying. I always say to our team members, our customers are our business. If they feel uncomfortable dealing with something, obviously I tell them to send it my way. But most times people are pretty good about things. If they have a problem, they chat with us. We come up with a mutually agreeable solution and then just move on. At the end of the day, I think most important is the last transaction that they have or last dealing they have with the company is a positive one. And we always try to keep that in mind.
Are those situations ones that you deal with yourself, or do you train your team to deal with them as well?
It's not necessarily that we train our team. Usually, if it's something that they feel comfortable dealing with at the time, they'll deal with it and then they'll just let me know. If it's something that they don't feel comfortable with, then they'll just usually say, I've got a customer that wants to chat with you about product or about how something turned out.
Yeah.
So when my first job out of college was working for a promotional items company. And so I sold a lot of hats and t-shirts and mugs and golf balls and things with logos on it. And I will never forget, I had a college that ordered hats for a horse sale. And I had written down on the order form to the embroiderer, they took it pretty literally. I thought I put down you needed to do it in script, but they literally the block letters that I wrote it out in is how they ended up embroidering it. And the hats didn't come until the day of the horse sale.
Oh dear.
I was like, oh my God, I had to take it over there. And they opened it up. They're like, I thought these were going to be script. And I was like, I thought so too. But at this point, I don't know what we can do because it was a last minute order thing. And they ended up taking them. And I think we probably gave them a discount, but I was just like, oh my God. Then there was another time where we did hats and there was an eagle and then wording, and somehow it got reversed, the white and the red, the way it was supposed to be embroidered. And then we had to take all these hats to Goodwill.
Was it a red eagle?
Yes.
Now that there's so much, it's such a complex thing with customization when you're dealing with different products, right?
Oh yeah, it totally is. So I completely understand. And that's one of the reasons why I was thinking about customer service, because I remember being this is awful. And it's such a big mistake sometimes that happens. And I was like, oh, I wonder how other people dealt with it, because we just kind of, I don't know. It was a case by case basis, I guess, but
kind of how we deal with it. You never know. I mean, you never plan for things to go wrong, but it happens, and like I said, sometimes we outsource things, we don't have necessarily that control over it. But at the end of the day, people are usually good. And like I said, you can usually come up with some sort of solution and then laugh about it after the fact, right?
Yeah. 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 It can be tough sometimes, but yeah, that's really cool. I know you and I have talked a little bit. I've been fortunate enough to go up and visit you at the Royal Winter Fair and had a great time up there. But now you're down in the States for the winter. Has that always been a goal of yours? Did you want to be in both places? How do you split your time? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I can't complain about being in Florida for the winter. Definitely don't like the cold. We always, my goal is always growth for the business. We didn't necessarily plan on, okay, this year we're going to open up a business in the US or anything like that. Being our 10th year, it kind of ended up working well. And just following our customer base and everything, it just made sense for us to also branch out into the US market and register the business in the US. So yeah, like I said, I don't think it was necessarily a planned thing, but it just kind of makes sense, especially with e-commerce. It makes it a little bit easier to transition that way. Like we had already had US clients, but I think that there's a lot more opportunity for growth by doing it this way and having the business in the US as well. So yeah, just really excited about that next journey for the company.
At what point were you able to make that happen?
We registered actually this year in the US.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So like I said, 10-year anniversary, and here you go. Now you're US based as well.
Interesting. I see that you're incorporated, right? What made you decide to be incorporated versus an LLC?
Well, that was just recommendations from, we looked at legal counsel and everything like that to see what was the best step for the business. We were incorporated in Canada as well. So it was just kind of the natural transition to go that way.
Do they have LLCs in Canada?
No, they don't. So your options for business are, you can do the corporation, you can do the partnership, or you can do a sole proprietorship.
Now that you are also incorporated in the US, does everything still manufacture and ship from Canada, like the products themselves?
Yes. So we've kept the manufacturing in Canada. I think right now the facility is set up. Same thing with our decorating and everything. We have everything there. That's not to say that that won't change in the future. It just makes sense right now because it's already established.
Right. Yeah. And then because it would be a huge financial outlay to try and duplicate that in the US, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, we've just kept it the same for now. And not to say, like I said, that things won't change in the future. I think this was just the easiest transition to having the two different locations.
Right. Cool.
And you're shipping across the whole US now, right?
Yes. Yes.
And where are you finding most of your US customer bases?
Actually, it's kind of spread all across the US.
Nice.
We do have a big base, obviously kind of in Florida, but even Michigan, Kentucky, Texas. It's all kind of throughout.
Is it mostly the hunter jumper world, English based?
Right now, yes, we're primarily hunter jumper. We do have some dressage clients, but we're not discipline specific. So
Right.
I think that's things that maybe we'll look into in the future, maybe branching out into the Western world. There's so many different avenues that we can, go into. And then even just outside of equestrian, we're going to look at expanding just into the corporate world. There's the embroidery machines aren't horse specific.
Right.
Ready
Exactly.
to do anything. So, I think the world is our oyster. There's so much opportunity for the business.
That's cool. And you said you got into horses kind of late in life. Did you start riding regularly? Like what kind of drew you into the hunter jumper world and more of the show world?
I just watching it. Like I used to go to the Royal and I'd see, the Ian Millers of the world, jumping. And I just always thought, oh, that would be so cool to do that. And then, so I just kind of ended up focusing that way.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to show and we purchased horses and did this. But then, like I said, the business, it just got so busy that I had to make that choice. Do I put my time into the business or do I continue riding? I probably wasn't the most talented rider, so I think I made the right decision. But yeah, it was definitely something that I enjoyed doing, kind of fun on the side, but that's about it.
Okay.
Do you guys still have horses?
We do. We're kind of winding down. We do have our own farm. Right now we have just my first horse, my original mare, Olivia, and her pasture partner just unfortunately passed away. So we just purchased her a pony.
Roger.
So it's Olivia and Roger that we have now.
Roger. Do they live in Canada the whole year?
They do. They do. So
that's cool.
Oh, interesting that you went to the Royal and you picked jumping out of it because there's so many different disciplines that they show there. Yeah. Was there anything specific that drew you to like the jumping versus driving or the big horses or saddle seat?
I think it just seemed exciting to me, having to make it around the course. And especially at that level that I was watching, the jumps were huge. Right. It just looked like something that would be fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Royal is such a cool experience because it does bring so many different disciplines together under one roof. And it's really neat. I enjoy going to that and seeing all that.
Absolutely. It's a great event.
Well, we're going to wrap up here. We really appreciate you being on. And at the end of each episode, we've got rapid fire questions that we ask. And I'm going to ask the first one. What is one action that women can take to make a big difference in their lives?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. An action that women can take, I think the big thing is taking time for yourself. I think it's just in our DNA that we always take care of everyone else, whether you have children or you don't. It's just, we have that nurturing personality. And I think a lot of times we take on too much. So taking some time for yourself, whether it's just going for a walk, meditating, doing yoga, whatever, I think that's really important to take care of your own personal health and well-being.
Yeah. And what is the best habit that keeps you motivated personally?
I don't think I really have a habit that keeps me motivated. I'm just I've always been motivated, especially with the business. For me, again, back to taking some of that time, I think taking that time allows gives me some downtime. I like to spend time with my dogs. I have my little dog Bentley travels with me everywhere. So he's kind of my grounding. I call him my quote service dog because he has to listen to all my problems and everything like that. So I'd say he's kind of my sounding board.
Nice.
Yeah, my dog, she keeps all my secrets.
I love them, right?
Yeah. What's your favorite horse movie?
International Velvet.
Oh,
Ooh.
I love that one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
The sequel.
I've watched that a million times.
I probably have run out a few VHS tapes of that one too. There's quite a few horse movies that I did that as a kid.
And who would you recommend to be a future guest on this podcast?
That's a hard one. Like you guys have had so many amazing guests thus far. Like Ashley Bond was on. I think really any women in business. I think everyone, doesn't matter what business, what products or what it relates to. I think everyone can, benefit and learn from other people's experiences and support each other. I'm a big advocate of, women in business supporting each other and really bringing each other up.
No,
Thanks.
we agree.
Yeah.
We appreciate your support as well.
Well, like I said, we love working with you guys.
Yeah. We can't wait to show everybody future ideas for EQBW and Ride Every Stride. Hey, Equestrian B2B podcast listeners, ready to level up your biz?
Ride Every Stride specializes in tailoring brand identities for equestrian businesses. From logo development, essential stable accessories, and custom product branding to exclusive awards, VIP event must-haves, and chic apparel, they've got you covered.
Visit rideeverystride.com. Use code B2B15, that's B2B15, at checkout for an exclusive 15% discount.
Elevate your brand with Ride Every Stride, supporting women in business and equestrian excellence. That was a really great chat today. I've been dying to have Linda on because I really am obsessed with Ride Every Stride. Like I said in our intro, their tax run covers are chef's kiss. Amazing. Obsessed with them. I don't have one, but I love them. And I'm jealous of everybody who has them. But yes, they're amazing and I love them. So
Well,
I was really excited.
That is very specific.
I know it's crazy, but yeah. And she's been so great to us, so great to work with for equestrian business women.
Yes.
And, I didn't really know that much about the business. So I was quite shocked when she was talking about in the beginning how it was, first of all, like the manufacturing of it that they actually
I had no idea. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, to me, as a side hustle, that's such a big endeavor.
I know. I was like, how is it a side hustle when you are buying embroidery machines? Like that is a huge investment in time and money and management. Like that is not a side hustle, my friend.
What? I know. I mean, I was like dying when I had to buy beads and end caps for the horsehair jewelry I was making.
Right.
I can't imagine going and be like, I think an embroidery machine is what I need.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
It
she
really
can think
is.
on that scope, right? Like on that big scope like that. Like that's just a testament to people being like, I'm going for it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that attitude. I love how easy she is to work with. She's super fun. I went up to the Royal. They have a really great booth at the Royal. And it's really great. So
She's like quintessential Canadian.
yeah.
She's so nice. She's so easy to work with. Like she's just a really nice person. And we love working with her, and I'm sure all of her clients do too. And that's why it's become such a successful business over her 10 years. Because she does great work. The jackets that we have from her I wear it like almost every day because it's a great jacket and I love it. And yeah, I look forward to doing more with her for Equestrian Businesswomen.
Yeah, she sounds too like she really cares about her employees and finding great people. I think that was interesting to talk about, what she looks for and what kind of makes them all tick. And that she's protective of them. I appreciate that in somebody who's running a company. And I'm sure their customer service is amazing because she's so nice and easy to work with. And I have to say, I was not a good customer service person based on I know the hats are wrong. Take them.
These are wrong. We're not going to do anything about it. Thank you for your money. Bye.
They're the right colors.
You said red and white. Here's red and white.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's a reason why I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I could see why. So your attention to detail there was
Yeah.
not so great.
No, but I do have to say, when I did work in that, what I found most fun was like trying to find something unique for people to give as like little handouts and stuff like that. That was the fun part, going through all these catalogs. But making a phone call, asking people to place orders, following up on their orders, that was not my strong point.
Gotcha.
I think I'm better at customer service now, but when I was fresh out of college, I was like, I don't even know what this means most of the time.
Most people fresh out of college don't know what anything means.
No, but one thing I did learn, I think I've said this before, is when I was in college taking a management course and they were talking about something about like awards programs and stuff at like large companies, I had no idea what they were talking about. And then I was in the business to sell those to companies. And I was like, oh, that's what was in that management class. That's what they meant. This is exactly
the light bulb.
Yeah, that was, a couple of years after that class, but okay. Oh man, sometimes I don't know.
So speaking of Ride Every Stride, and her bags that we hand out at events, exciting announcements of our 2025 events. Just wanted to get this out there, and it'll be on our website with tickets available soon. Our EQBW networking brunch is coming back to Wellington International on Sunday, January 26th. We are really excited about that. We'll have announcements soon on speakers and panelists and what's going to be happening there, but that is always a really great time. We hope everybody can join us there. We'll be at the All for the Horses Expo at World Equestrian Center in Ocala, Florida, February 15th and 16th. It's a great free event there, so we would love to meet everyone who is there. Come say hi. We'll be back out at Desert Horse Park in Thermal, California for an EQBW networking night out on Friday, March 7th. And we have some really fun events planned that following Saturday. So we'll have our ticketed event with a panel on Friday night, fun stuff on Saturday. As always, we'll have the Saratoga Women in Business Spectacular, another free event on July 9th to the 13th at White Hollow Farm in Saratoga, New York. And if you're in Wellington, this December 14th and 15th, we hope you'll join our friends at Exquisite for a holiday sip and shop for the launch of her new store. So there's so many upcoming events that we're really excited about, and we can meet new people, say hi to old friends, and lots of fun stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun and so amazing. Since we're doing all of this stuff, we have to get going so we can get planning. And you're going to find the links to today's guests and the show notes at www.eqbusinesswomen.com. Equestrian B2B is out twice a month on the 1st and the 15th.
You can find out more at eqbusinesswomen.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Find Equestrian B2B wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to follow, subscribe, and leave a review. You can have all 20 plus shows of the Horse Radio Network with you wherever you go with their free app for iPhone and Android. Go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network.
Now go make some time for yourself.